The big story this morning, the final face-off between the presidential candidates, President Trump and Joe Biden, making their pitches to the American people, going head-to-head last night on the debate stage in Nashville. That finish line now in sight, just 11 days away from the election. Both candidates zeroing in on the big battleground states. That includes Michigan. And this morning, we want to bring in some of our political experts, a team, as you would say. Joining us live, Dave Dulio, political science professor at Oakland University and political consultant, Mario Moro. Thank you, gentlemen, both so much for joining us. Guys, it seemed like a very different debate from the first one. I want to get your big takeaways. Let's start with you, Mario.
I thought it was different. I thought that the president was calmer. He didn't do as much attacks. I thought both candidates held their own. And I believe that they were both playing to their base. Mr. Biden had to just be calm and just let things roll because he's leading in the polls. Mr. Trump needed to get some points. And I think he did pull up a couple points and a couple good jabs, but I do think it was a much better debate and people understood and could hear actually their answers.
Dave, same question to you. Big takeaways.
Well, I think Mario nailed it. It was a much more typical debate, more that we're used to when we watch presidential debates over the last, well, decades for that matter. I think one of the biggest things was President Trump much more disciplined, much more restrained in this debate, and I think that probably plays pretty well. Whether it's too little, too late is an open question, and I think Mario's right. You know, the former vice president did well, and for me, it was really about him not making a big mistake, which he didn't.
Yeah, he also didn't sit on his lead, it seemed like, by any means. He went on the attack quite a bit. Mario, to you, during the debate, President Trump said Michigan is, quote, like a prison in reference to COVID-19 restrictions. And moments before, the president said Governor Whitmer's husband is, quote, the only one allowed to do anything. Now, how do you think those comments are going to weigh on Michigan voters?
Well, first of all, I thought it was an awful comparison. And unlike the president and his administration, the governor was doing her due diligence to save lives and keep people safe, following the CDC guidelines, wearing a mask, practicing social distancing, washing your hands, and getting tested, something that the president and his administration has not done. If the president had done exactly what the governor, the leader of the state, was doing, then maybe we would not be in this situation as bad as we are. I don't think it's going to have a major effect at all.
Well, and it might be because of what I'm going to ask Dave next here. Dave, we're seeing record early voting numbers. Nearly 50 million people have already cast their ballot across the country. So there's a lot of votes already in the bank here. President Trump is trailing in the national polls. Is he fighting any uphill battle at this point? And can the president sway enough voters? Are there enough left that are undecided to sway?
Well, let's start there, Brian. I think the number of undecided voters in the country is really small in this election. I think it's we can argue probably after the fact about whether or not a all base strategy is a good strategy. But at this point, with so few undecided voters, really the base is what's there. And it's going to be about turnout. Who gets out to the polls? You mentioned all the early votes and whether or not the president's behind. Or if he's fighting an uphill battle. Not necessarily, right? Because those national polls are important, but as everybody knows, the electoral college vote is what matters. So can President Trump turn around a few states like Pennsylvania and Florida in the last 11 days or so? That's what's really going to matter.
And quickly, guys, for both of you, 11 days ago until November 3rd, what can we expect to see from each campaign between now and Election Day, especially in Michigan? Is this still a must-win state for Joe Biden? If he is, does he have to turn it, or are there other options? What are we going to see here, guys?
Oh, Michigan is definitely a must-win state. He's up right now, what, 8 or 9 points. I think you're going to see a lot of media blitz. People are going to get inundated with phone calls. You're going to see TV production. You're going to see GOTV get the vote out campaigns going. The strategy is going to be moving real hard for both campaigns.
Dave?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it'd be more of the same for the next 11 days. Television ads, candidate visits, surrogate visits, and to your question about Michigan, I think it's more important for Vice President Biden than for President Trump. It's a the path for Biden becomes much tougher without Michigan. Trump has got a bit more of a path without our state, but still critical to both of them, and they're going to fight tooth and nail for every last vote.
All right, Dave Dulio and Mario Morrow, thank you, gentlemen, both so much for joining us bright and early this morning. Appreciate it.